there's a moment that still plays in my mind. The moment I realized my mother wasn't just aging. She was slowly saying goodbye, and I didn't see it. I thought it was just part of getting older. I missed what her body was trying to tell me. And now, her silence is louder than any goodbye I ever heard. It started small. My mother, who never let a morning pass without wiping down the kitchen counter, just stopped doing it. She wasn't sick. She simply said, "I'll get to it later." But she never did. Then she stopped playing her morning radio. The oldies station she loved silence. "It's just too noisy now," she told me. I thought maybe she was tired. She was 84. Tired is normal, right? One day, I brought her favorite soup chicken and rice, just the way she liked it, with a little lemon. She smiled, thanked me, and didn't touch it. She said, "It's lovely." "I'm just not hungry today," I said. "Mom, come on, you have to eat something." She looked at me, really looked, and said gently, "Sweetheart, I think I'm full, in a different way now." I didn't know what that meant. Not then. She grew quieter. She spent more time staring out the window. Sometimes she'd reach for my hand, not to talk, just to sit, just to be. She started sleeping more. Goody kopum kumpum. Less. Then came the moment I'll never forget. She woke up early one morning around 4 a.m. and called me into her room. Her eyes were clearer than they had been in weeks. "Do you remember that summer in Maine?" she asked. "You were 7. We watched the fireflies." I nodded. Already holding back tears, she said, "I think I'm ready for a summer like that again. Quiet, bright, gentle." That was her goodbye. She passed 3 weeks later. Not suddenly, not violently, but gently, like a candle that had been quietly flickering for months. And I hadn't seen the flame dimming, because I didn't know what to look for. That's why I'm making this video, to tell you what no one told me. Because death doesn't always knock loudly sometimes. It whispers. It doesn't come with pain or drama. It comes with stillness, with quiet changes. And if you're not paying attention, you'll miss your chance to be fully present during the most sacred time in someone's life. There are signs, 5 of them. In fact, that often appear in the final year of life. I've learned this not just from my mother, but from being beside hundreds of elderly patients over the past 30 years. These signs are subtle, easy to dismiss, but when you understand them, they help you care better, love deeper, and live without regret. This video isn't about fear. It's about awareness. It's about showing up before the moment is gone. So if you've ever wondered, is something changing in my parent, my grandparent? Don't look away. Stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll know the 5 signs, and more importantly, you'll know what to do with them. If you've already lost someone, maybe this will help you make sense of what you saw but couldn't name, and if someone you love is still here. This might be your wake-up call, to stop rushing, to sit with them in the quiet, while there's still time. Before we begin, can I ask something small? If you've ever experienced something like this, even just a feeling that something was shifting with someone you love. Leave a comment below with the number 1. And if not, but you want to learn and be prepared, drop a 0. Your response helps me reach more people who might be living through their own quiet goodbye. Let's start with the first sign, the one I wish I had recognized in time. Number 1, decreased movement. It began with small things. My mother, once full of energy, started skipping her morning walks. She would say she was just a bit tired or that the weather wasn't ideal. At first, I didn't think much of it, but over time, I noticed more changes. She began to spend more time sitting. Her steps became slower, and she needed support to get up from her chair. I thought it was just part of aging, but as days turned into weeks, her movement decreased significantly. She started sleeping more, and simple tasks became challenging. I realized that these weren't just signs of aging, but indications that her body was preparing for its final journey. Decreased movement is often one of the earliest signs that an elderly person may be approaching the end of life. It's a subtle change that can be easily overlooked or attributed to normal aging. However, recognizing this sign can provide an opportunity to offer the necessary support and care. As mobility decreases, it's essential to ensure the safety and comfort of your loved one. Simple modifications, like removing tripping hazards, installing grab bars, and ensuring easy access to essential areas, can make a significant difference. Additionally, providing assistive devices, such as walkers or canes, can help maintain a level of independence. It's also crucial to engage in open conversations about these changes. Discussing their feelings, fears, and wishes can provide emotional support and help in making informed decisions about their care. Remember, it's not just about physical support, but also about being there emotionally. In my mother's case, recognizing the decrease in her movement allowed us to make her remaining days comfortable and filled with love. We spent more time together, shared stories, and cherished every moment. It was a time of reflection, connection, and peace. If you notice a loved one's movement decreasing, take it as a sign to be more present. Offer your support, ensure their comfort, and most importantly, spend quality time with them. These moments are precious and can provide lasting memories for both of you. Remember, decreased movement isn't just a physical change. It's a call to be more attentive, compassionate, and present. Recognizing and responding to this sign can make a profound difference in the final chapter of your loved one's life. Number 2, decreased appetite and loss of interest in favorite foods. It was a quiet Sunday afternoon when I brought my mother her favorite meal, chicken and rice soup with a hint of lemon. She had always loved this dish. It was comfort food, something that reminded her of family gatherings and cozy evenings. But this time, she merely smiled, thanked me, and gently pushed the bowl aside. "I'm just not hungry today," she said softly. At first, I thought it was just a passing phase. Maybe she was feeling a little off or had a mild stomach ache. But as days turned into weeks, I began to notice a pattern. She started declining meals more often. Saying nothing appealed to her. Even her favorite treats, warm apple pie, vanilla ice cream, fresh baked bread, no longer brought that spark to her eyes. This gradual loss of appetite is one of the clearest signs I now know to watch for. At the time, though, It felt like a mystery. I thought maybe I wasn't cooking the right things, or that she was simply bored with the same flavors. I tried everything: smaller portions, favorite spices, even takeout from the old diner she used to love. But it wasn't about the food. She wasn't rejecting the meal. Her body was beginning to let go. Decreased appetite is common in the final stages of life. It doesn't mean a person is giving up. It means their body is transitioning. As the end of life nears, the digestive system slows down. The need for food fades, and energy is conserved for more basic functions like breathing and resting. According to hospice professionals, including those at VNS Health, hunger naturally fades as death approaches. It's not something to fight. It's the body's way of saying, I'm done with this part now. Trying to push food, even with the best intentions, can actually lead to discomfort, bloating, and emotional distress. I didn't understand that in the beginning. I remember feeling frustrated. I'd stand in the kitchen stirring her soup, hoping maybe this time she'd finish the bowl. I'd sit beside her, spoon in hand, gently pleading, and when she turned her head away, I felt helpless, like I was failing as a caregiver and as her child. But the truth is, she didn't need more food. She needed me. Once I accepted that, everything changed. Instead of pushing meals, I started asking what sounded good. Sometimes it was just a few sips of tea. Other times, she'd take half a strawberry and whisper, "That's enough." We shifted to small, soft, nourishing options: mashed potatoes, warm custard, creamy yogurt. No pressure, just quiet offerings. I also began to notice how much more important other forms of comfort had become. The smell of a fresh orange, a warm hand towel, music from her childhood softly playing in the background. These became the new ways I connected with her. I wasn't feeding her body. I was feeding her spirit. We had to make adjustments. 2. Chewing became tiring. I used smaller spoons and soft textures. She had trouble lifting glasses, so we used cups with handles and straws. Even things like temperature mattered. Cold drinks hurt her teeth, and hot ones made her flinch. These little details helped her feel safe and cared for. In the final days, she stopped eating altogether, just tiny sips of water now and then. We switched to mouthcare: moist sponges, ice chips, lip balm. Her comfort became the focus, and that's what caregiving is about in the end. Not fixing, but easing. Watching someone you love lose interest in food is heartbreaking. But I've come to understand that it's not rejection. It's not a problem to solve. It's simply part of the process. I remember one quiet afternoon, no food in sight, just the two of us sitting in silence, sunlight falling on her blanket. She reached for my hand and said, "This is enough," and I knew it was. So if your loved one is no longer eating, don't panic, don't pressure. Instead, be present, offer soft comfort foods, but let go of the need to make them eat. Shift your focus to connection. Sit with them, touch their hand, tell stories, hum a favorite tune. You are still feeding something vital. You are feeding their peace. Number 3, emotional withdrawal. It began subtly. My mother, once vibrant and engaged, started to retreat into herself. She stopped reading the newspaper, no longer commented on her favorite TV shows, and seemed less interested in conversations. At first, I attributed it to fatigue or perhaps a passing mood, but as days turned into weeks, the pattern became clear. She was withdrawing emotionally. Emotional withdrawal is a common sign as individuals approach the end of life. It's a natural part of the dying process, where the person begins to detach from the world around them. This detachment isn't necessarily a sign of depression or sadness. Rather, it's often a way for the individual to conserve energy and focus inwardly, according to the Hospice Foundation. As death nears, individuals may become less responsive and withdraw from their surroundings. In my mother's case, she began to spend more time in her room, often staring out the window or resting quietly. She spoke less, and when she did, her words were softer, more reflective. She seemed to be processing her life, reflecting on memories, and preparing herself for the journey ahead. As caregivers and loved ones, witnessing this withdrawal can be challenging. It's natural to feel a sense of loss or to worry that the person is experiencing emotional pain. However, it's essential to understand that this withdrawal is often a sign of acceptance and peace. The individual is turning inward, focusing on their thoughts and feelings, and preparing themselves mentally and spiritually during this time. It's crucial to offer support without overwhelming the individual. Simple gestures like holding their hand, sitting quietly beside them, or softly playing their favorite music can provide comfort, even if they don't respond verbally. Your presence can be profoundly reassuring. As noted by Crossroads Hospice, while the person may seem unresponsive, hearing remains, and gentle communication can offer comfort. It's also helpful to create a peaceful environment, dimming the lights, reducing noise, and ensuring the room is comfortable can make a significant difference. Avoid forcing conversations or activities. Instead, let the individual guide the interaction. If they wish to talk, listen attentively. If they prefer silence, respect that choice. In some cases, individuals may express a desire to see specific people or may bring up unresolved issues. These moments are opportunities for closure and connection. Be open to these conversations and provide reassurance and support. Let them know they are loved and that it's okay to let go when they're ready. Reflecting on my mother's journey, I realize that her emotional withdrawal was her way of finding peace. By respecting her need for solitude and offering quiet support, we were able to share meaningful moments in her final days. It wasn't about grand gestures or lengthy conversations. It was about being present, offering love, and honoring her process. If you notice a loved one withdrawing emotionally, remember that it's a natural part of the end-of-life journey. Offer your presence, provide comfort, and respect their need for space. These moments, though quiet, can be deeply meaningful and provide a sense of peace for both the individual and their loved ones. Understanding and accepting emotional withdrawal can help ease the transition, allowing for a more peaceful and dignified end-of-life experience. It's a time for reflection, connection, and, ultimately, letting go with love and compassion. If you've ever witnessed a loved one become quieter or more distant near the end of life, share your thoughts or experience in the comments with the number 1. And if this is something new to you, but you're learning and preparing, comment 0 to let us know you're here. Your voice may help someone else feel less alone. Number 4. Confusion and moments of clarity. It didn't happen all at once. At first, it was just small things. My mother asking me what day it was. Even though I'd told her just an hour before, she'd misplace her glasses and insist someone had taken them. She'd forget that she'd already eaten. I told myself it was just part of getting older. After all, she was 84. But it changed. One evening, I walked into her room and found her talking softly to someone who wasn't there. She looked up and smiled, as if she was speaking with her sister, who had passed decades ago. She said, "Don't worry, I'll be ready soon," and then looked at me, startled, unsure of who I was. The next morning, she was alert, bright-eyed, and clearer than she'd been in weeks. She asked about my kids, remembered their names, and even told a story about my father that I hadn't heard before. I found myself clinging to that moment, hoping maybe she was getting better, but deep down, I knew. This cycle of confusion and brief, vivid clarity is common in the final stages of life. It's not random. It's the brain trying to find its footing as the body prepares to shut down. It's what hospice doctors refer to as terminal agitation, followed by terminal lucidity. For caregivers and family, it can be one of the most disorienting and emotionally draining parts of the journey. Confusion may present as forgetfulness, disorientation, paranoia, or even hallucinations. I remember my mother once insisting that someone was in her closet at night. Another time, she became convinced that we had just come back from a vacation she hadn't taken. It wasn't frightening to her, but it was to us. We didn't know how to respond at first. Should we correct her? Should we play along? Eventually, we learned that what mattered most wasn't correcting the facts, but respecting her feelings. If she thought her mother had just stopped by to visit, I didn't tell her that Grandma had passed in 1973. I'd say, maybe she just came by to check on you. She always did worry about you. My mom would smile, and that was enough. These moments of clarity, when they came, were like a break in the clouds. She'd return to herself for a few minutes, sometimes hours. Once, we spent nearly half a day together with her fully lucid talking, laughing, even folding laundry together. It was the last time she called me by name without hesitation. There's a kind of grace in those moments. They don't last long, but they give you a chance to say things you've held back, to ask questions, to tell them you love them. In some ways, they're a gift, a final window into who they were before the fog set in. Medically, this fluctuation in awareness can be caused by a number of factors: reduced kidney or liver function, buildup of toxins in the bloodstream, dehydration, or changes in oxygen levels. For someone nearing the end, even mild changes in environment, medication, or sleep patterns can trigger confusion or brief delirium. The brain is sensitive, and as the body prepares to let go, that sensitivity becomes more visible. But this isn't just about biology. In the final weeks, my mother began talking more about people who had died. She would mention my father as if he'd just stepped out to get the mail. She spoke to my brother, who died in infancy, as if he were sitting at her bedside. She once asked me to clear space on the porch so everyone could come in. I've heard many stories like this from hospice nurses. These aren't hallucinations in the traditional sense. They are often considered a part of the transition experience where the veil between life and death begins to thin. Some call them visions. Some call them spiritual awakenings. Whatever they are, I chose to treat them with reverence rather than doubt. It's important not to panic or try to pull someone out of this state. Confusion doesn't mean they're in distress. In fact, many patients report a sense of calm and reassurance during these moments, especially when they believe they're being visited by someone they love. Instead of resisting it, we sat with her. We kept the lights low. We put on her favorite music, held her hand, and let her lead the conversation, even if it drifted between worlds. What I learned is this confusion near the end of life isn't a problem to fix. It's a language to understand. And clarity, when it comes, isn't always about us. It's for them. It's their chance to gather their thoughts, to find peace, to say what they need to say, sometimes with words, sometimes just with a look or a tear or a final squeeze of the hand. The last moment of clarity my mother had came just 2 days before she passed. She looked at me, her eyes wide open, and said, "It's going to be all right." Then she closed her eyes and fell back into sleep. She never woke again. I still hear those words, "It's going to be all right." And somehow, in all that sorrow, it was number 5, spiritual awareness and final intuition. In the final days of my mother's life, something shifted, not just physically, but spiritually. She began to speak of journeys, of reunions, and of peace in a way that transcended our shared reality. These were not mere hallucinations. They were profound expressions of a transition from this life to whatever lay beyond. One evening, as I sat by her bedside, she turned to me with a serene expression and said, "I saw your father today. He was standing by the window, smiling. My father had passed away years prior, yet her conviction was unwavering. She described vivid scenes of places she had never visited, spoke of conversations with loved ones long gone, and expressed a readiness to embark on a journey she felt was imminent. These experiences are not uncommon. Many individuals nearing the end of life report similar phenomena. Visions of deceased relatives, conversations with unseen entities, and an acute sense of an impending departure. This heightened spiritual awareness is often referred to as near-death awareness. According to Continual Learning, people experiencing near-death awareness may describe seeing spiritual beings, bright lights, or symbolic imagery, and may even predict the timing of their own death. Hospice professionals recognize these experiences as a natural part of the dying process. Rather than dismissing them as delusions, they are seen as meaningful and comforting to the individual. Crossroads. Hospice notes that such vision-like experiences are common and can provide a sense of connection to the spiritual realm, offering solace during the transition. In my mother's case, her spiritual awareness brought her peace. She spoke of feeling enveloped in love, of being guided by unseen hands, and of a light that beckoned her forward. These revelations were not accompanied by fear, but by a profound sense of acceptance and tranquility. As caregivers and loved ones, witnessing these experiences can be both mystifying and comforting. It's essential to approach them with openness and empathy, engaging in conversations about these visions, validating the individual's feelings, and providing a supportive presence can enhance their sense of peace. Spiritual care is a vital component of hospice services. Chaplains and spiritual counselors work alongside medical professionals to address the emotional and existential needs of patients. They assist individuals in exploring their beliefs, seeking forgiveness, and finding meaning in their life's journey. Crossroads Hospice emphasizes the importance of addressing spiritual needs to improve quality of life and relieve spiritual distress. In the final moments of life, many individuals exhibit a surge of energy or clarity, often referred to as terminal lucidity. This phenomenon involves a sudden return of mental clarity and memory shortly before death, even in individuals with severe cognitive impairments. According to Wikipedia, terminal lucidity is characterized by a transient reversal in an individual's physical symptoms of disease, allowing for meaningful interactions and closure. My mother experienced such a moment. After days of minimal responsiveness, she suddenly became alert, held my hand, and whispered words of love and farewell. It was a precious gift, a final opportunity to connect and express our bond. These experiences underscore the profound interplay between the physical and spiritual aspects of dying. They remind us that death is not merely a biological event, but a deeply personal and spiritual journey. By acknowledging and honoring this dimension, we can provide compassionate support that respects the whole person. In reflecting on my mother's final days, I am struck by the depth of her spiritual awareness and the comfort it brought her. Her visions, intuitions, and expressions of peace were not signs of confusion, but of a soul preparing to transition. Embracing this perspective allowed me to support her with greater empathy and to find solace in the knowledge that she faced death with serenity. As we accompany our loved ones on their end-of-life journey, let us remain open to the spiritual dimensions of their experience. By doing so, we honor their process, provide meaningful support, and enrich our own understanding of life's final chapter. Conclusion: change begins today. In the final days of my mother's life, I sat beside her, holding her hand, listening to her breathe. She was 84. The signs had been there for months, subtle at first, then impossible to ignore. Her walk stopped, her appetite faded, her laughter grew softer, her presence more distant. Sometimes, she'd speak of my father as if he had just stepped into the next room. Other times, she'd simply look out the window for hours in silence, smiling at something none of us could see. At the time, I didn't know what to make of it. I didn't know these were the quiet signs that death gives us long before it arrives. And because I didn't know, I missed the chance to show up in the way she truly needed. I tried to fix what wasn't broken. I asked her to walk. I urged her to eat. I tried to bring her back to us, when really, what she needed was for us to go with her, to meet her where she was. Now I know. These 5 signs: decreased movement, loss of appetite, emotional withdrawal, moments of confusion and clarity, and spiritual awareness are not signs of defeat. They are part of the process. They are the way the body and spirit prepare for transition. So the question now is, what do we do with this knowledge? We act, and we act now. Here are 5 things you can do starting today. 1. Call the person you've been meaning to check on. That parent who's been quieter than usual. That grandparent you haven't seen since the holidays. Don't wait for the next occasion. Make today the occasion. 2. Start a conversation about end-of-life wishes. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's emotional. But it's one of the most important talks you'll ever have. Ask them, what brings you comfort? Who do you want nearby? What songs do you want playing in your last days? 3. Be present without needing to fix things. When someone starts eating less or withdrawing from conversation, our instinct is to intervene. Instead, learn to be still with them. Sit in silence. Hold their hand. Let them lead. 4. Learn the signs of decline together. Share this knowledge with siblings, caregivers, or anyone helping your loved one. When everyone is on the same page, you can create a plan grounded in care, not panic. 5. Make peace now. If there are things left unsaid, say them. If there are grudges, soften them. The final days are no place for regret. Don't let pride be louder than love. What I've come to understand is this: we don't get to choose how or when someone we love leaves, but we do get to choose how we show up in their final season. We can choose presence over panic, stillness over fixing, love over fear. And we don't need to wait for the signs to show up to start living that way. Change doesn't begin when it's convenient. It begins today, right now, with one choice, one step, one quiet act of love. If you've made it to the end of this video, it means you care, and that alone can change everything for someone in their last year. So thank you, truly. Now, I invite you to do one simple thing. Leave a comment with the number 1. If this message touched your heart, or the number 0, if it opened your eyes in a new way, and if there's someone you're thinking of right now, call them today, not tomorrow. Today, because sometimes the quietest moments carry the loudest truths, and sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is just be there.